call the meeting of the Westminster Select Board to order. Anyone who would like to participate by Zoom, just speak up and give your name, please. Any adjustments to the agenda?
We have two. I'd like to add two letters of interest on other business from Chad Hewitt and from Pauline O'Brien, Blake O'Brien, excuse me.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? The acceptance of the minutes of the meeting of October 28th.
I move to approve the minutes as printed. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as printed for the meeting of October 28th. Is there any discussion? Are you ready to vote? Do you want a little more time? Hearing nothing, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The
Hearing
minutes are
nothing.
approved.
I don't think I ever heard you say that.
What? What did I say?
Hearing nothing.
Hearing no, okay, sorry. Communications and public comments. Mike Marecki, are you here, Mike?
I am here, and I appreciate the time here. And I'm also here with my new district mate, Representative-elect Michelle Boslin of Westminster.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, Michelle.
We would like to continue the habit that I've had over the past few years of meeting with you before there's any sort of emergency, just to keep up with things and try and check in. We're getting ready fast already to get the new season, the session started in January, and there's going to be a lot to do. It feels like we just finished up at the end of October. Now we're back at it, and most of that's because of COVID. And as you're well aware of, we're starting to see numbers go up in Vermont now, just as they've been going up all around us. And there's a lot of concern. I visited a fourth grade class over in Putney yesterday, and they were meeting outside, but they were talking about how some schools have had several positive tests and have closed up for a while and gone back online. I think it's interesting that what Dr. Fauci predicted a couple of months ago, that we'd start to see this surge up again in the fall, seems to be coming true once people are going inside, and there's a lot to do. And I think the governor today tightened the spigot a little bit in terms of who can visit Vermont and what they need to do in order to keep them and Vermonters safe. So we're going to be keeping track of that. We want to be concerned about the health and safety of Vermonters, and then the economy is certainly going to be a big thing, because it's tough to keep an economy going when people are sick or people are afraid to go out. So that's another piece. I'm not sure how the economy has affected the finances of the town this year, but we certainly want to be aware of that. We know we passed a bill through the help of the treasurer of Vermont that if towns have to borrow to cover cash flow, the state will cover the interest on that. So I hope if something comes up, Russ can just give us a yell, and we'll do what we can to try and shake the tree. And then as we go forward, we certainly want to be aware of things that come up, whether it's at the school, at the town hall. I'll pass it over to my new district mate in a minute, but I just want to share one more thing, that COVID has certainly amplified the need for broadband. People are getting sent home, kids are getting sent home to school, and the challenge is that, as you all know, broadband only goes so far, and then it stops. And my experience is I've got constituents that have been waiting 10 years or more to get enough broadband that they can run a business off of. And I see that the proposal for the CUDs is on your agenda later. And I've been working with the Putney Select Board, and I've become a volunteer now to that board because frankly, I don't care where the broadband comes from. I'm going to be pragmatic about that. But we've been waiting for the current companies to follow through and put something on the board, and it hasn't happened. So I think the CUD is certainly worth exploring. And I know in Putney, we're going to do that. And I'm hearing from people in Westminster just as much as any other town that they're past where Comcast is now, and they just can't get suitable internet service. So if you need any more encouragement, I'm glad to add to that. And I see Steve John is on here. Well, so I'm going to pass it over now to my new district mate, Michelle Boslin.
So I'm not sure what I have to add to that. I guess I would just like to say I'm really glad to be joining you in my new role as almost legislator. I actually went up to Montpelier yesterday for my first training session to fill out my paperwork and make sure they'll be able to get me an email address and all those important things, so I will be accessible. I guess I just would like to say that, I mean, I don't know all of the select board members. I don't know all of the people that are on the call, although I know some of you. I do hope over time, as things come up, you will feel free to contact me and let me know, what are the issues that you need help with. I've done a lot of different kinds of work in our community in Windham County. I've worked with youth. I've worked with people recently in the criminal justice system. I've worked with kids with disabilities. I've worked at Bellows Falls High School, Compass School, youth services. I've dabbled in a lot of different places in the community, but there are a lot of programs that are running in our community that I haven't worked in as well. And so please let me know, what's working, what isn't working, and what can I help you with? I've done a lot of work as a case manager of sorts, as a troubleshooter, and I look forward to doing constituent services with the people in our district, trying to figure out what I can do to help Westminster work better for all of you.
Thank you. Yeah, Mike has been very good about keeping us apprised of what's going on and reporting, and that's been great. So thanks. I think maybe the one thing we want to be kept abreast of pretty quickly is the school issue, as you know. So thank you.
You should be speaking a lot louder.
One of the main things we want to be kept apprised of is what's happening with the school issue, the school merger issue. As you know, in Westminster, that's a big deal.
And I have shared with Asher Pucciarella, who seems to be heading some of the efforts to create a vote, that if you're going to do that, you should do it as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. The Secretary of Education is already starting to push for the legislature to close that loophole for towns to vote to leave a merger. And you never know what's going to happen. And I would not wait till town meeting. If people are serious about getting that vote and trying to have an exit ramp from that forced merger, my suggestion is to do it as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's already planned pretty quickly. That David Major was here last meeting, and we have an article ready to discuss. So, and a warning to go out, I think, with any luck. So, thank you.
And I just wonder, there was concerns when this started back in the spring that towns may find their cash flow short, and there may be an inordinate number of people whose taxes might be in arrears. Without too much detail, how's that sugaring off for you there?
We are at approximately, with half of our tax bill out, we're out about 47%. Towards last year, etc., it's almost on the mark. So we really have a large deficiency in it yet, but we're expecting the second payment to come out and it'd be a little bit tardy in payments.
Yep. Well, let's keep in touch with that, and
Will do. Thank you.
My hope is that in the new year, there will be another stimulus bill coming from Washington. And there's a lot of us hoping that state and local governments will be able to avail themselves of help if they need it.
Great.
Great, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Anything else for Mike and Michelle?
At this time.
No? Great, thanks so much for joining.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Unfinished business. Well, here we go. School consolidation, warning for special town meeting.
I'm not sure who's online to speak about this. David?
Anybody there?
Well, in your packet, you have the letter that David Major created after our meeting to ask about the article and how they should proceed. He gave them an opportunity to weigh in. I did not receive any response, and I don't think David did either. So you voted last meeting to actually proceed. So all it is now is when they get the warning completely harnessed to come to you with it so you can approve it. And that we were hoping for tonight, but I'm not seeing it happening tonight. So
we're waiting to hear this second, my suggestion for a draft single article. That's the second one. That's the one that David.
that's correct. He lumped them all together in one article.
Because we talked about how confusing it would be to have several.
Multi, right?
Yeah,
Because if
yeah.
one facet doesn't pass, then
Mm-hmm.
you voted for nothing. So again, I'm sure he's waiting for legal counsel to respond to his request, and he hasn't heard yet. So
When you're saying legal, it's both Larry and Fletcher in this case.
that's correct. Fletcher's representing the school, and Larry is representing us.
If it moves, I mean, if we have to wait till the next meeting, that's going to make it even later.
It is, so it might entail a special meeting
Right.
via phone call. We'd warn it, and then
Yeah.
I would just come to you
Yeah.
to get it signed.
Okay.
So we'll do what we have to do, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have
I'm
to have
willing
the
to.
information first.
I would suggest the chairperson call Larry and shake his cage a little bit.
Larry isn't in town until November 17th.
There's other people there.
Other people working on it.
No, but
Okay.
that being said, I'm
Well,
Whatever you say, Sheldon.
I see VLCT sent today from the governor about election and how we can have an Australian ballot because of what he just came
That's-
down on.
that's correct.
But we're still being able to follow, we're still being able to have it, I guess.
Yes, it's just not as simple as just we're gonna have a ballot. We have to get the ballots printed so that they fit in our machine, and we have to get the card created from the state that actually reads the ballots so that we can have this election. So we need to have all that done now, and so that they have time to create all this stuff. So that's another whole thing that they needed to do, is come up with the warning language, but also what they want on the ballot and what it's going to look like.
Do we have to do it by voting machine?
We have to, because we have that machine. We are linked to that machine now.
Yeah.
So I asked about that, and if it failed, then yes, we can go by hand. But typically, when you have the machine, you go with the machine. Is what Ally had told me.
I mean, if the time factor is to the point where we can't get the printing done and so forth, then we'll have to
We'll have to
go old
regroup.
school
What, pieces of paper?
and use the Board of Civil Authority to count, and or the
But what would be the ballots?
you'd have to put what's on the warning because that
Oh, and
obviously
run through the
needs to be.
copier or something, right?
So, yeah, it would have to
Well,
be,
that'd be fun.
But we would still hold the physical way we just did the other one, where you can mail it in
that's correct.
or come and wait outside the building and
Yep, one at a time type thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
and
Well,
we'd have regular hours, just like the last one, where you come up with the hours of when we'd be open and closed
Yep.
and all that.
Okay, well, I'll call Larry in Larry's office and see if anything's cooking there. It should be.
Can we at least get a call to Fletcher to see what his, I
Sure.
mean, Fletcher's down seeing Larry's. He might come back with a compromise and it might be good enough.
Mhm.
I can email Fletcher.
Okay.
Who's our secondary, Fisher?
Yes, Robert Fisher, yep.
Secondary attorney.
Yes.
Attorney.
Anything else about that?
I do not.
Deerfield Valley CUD action.
So in your packet is the next steps. It is actually on the email that looks like this. The steps are at the bottom. Stephen, you're here?
I'm here.
Great. So you can help us walk the board through the next phase of this?
Yeah, I don't think it's too complicated, but ask any questions you like. I think you have the, I think you have everything you need there. And in fact, some select boards have done things even more simply, but that's the legal, I know your concern is to make sure everything's legally acceptable and appropriate, complying with the statute for joining. So that's, you got everything you need there.
Okay, so at this point, the resolution needs to be signed.
Yep, after the motions, right, the board has to approve and then that's signed. And I think there is a place for the clerk to attest that the minutes, that recorded this motion by the board are correct. And then there's a separate, I think, appointment paper or a document to appoint your representative and one or two alternates.
It's actually on the same page, so.
Okay, good. All right. They've improved that. Yeah.
So the original, Susan, is in front of you. It's in blue.
Yep, I see it.
So
Mhm.
And then you have, I think, a physical address to send that to David Jones, the clerk of the DVCUD. And he lives in Halifax. I can look up his box number, but it's, you should have it there with that information, I think.
So it looks like we need.
yes, we do have that.
Great.
So this is for appointing the representative, but we also, it looks like, need a motion to apply for membership.
That's correct.
The top back.
Yeah.
Top back is talking.
Yeah,
They want to make a motion that we have a resolution to appoint a representative to it, and then we would turn around and appoint who that
yeah,
representative
I
is.
understand. I'm just looking at so it says, okay, so has written to the governing board to request admission. So that's the same thing as
That's that. Yeah.
full membership. Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, there are usually two actions taken by the boards. One is to join and the other one is appoint, to name the representatives.
Do we have some discussion about this? Does someone want to make a motion? Are we?
Wait for-
I can add that we have unsuccessfully tried to do this ourselves. And no terms were either Comcast nor Consolidated willing to work with the town and its areas that are lacking without some substantial cost to the families that are requesting it.
Yeah.
So towns are joining the CUD, and there's no legal obligation once we get into it to actually come up with funds. But if we're serious about supplying our complete town with broadband that is acceptable for our kids, obviously this COVID-19 is not going away anytime soon. So the kids have another 6 months of school that they're still trying to obtain decent broadband. I was very reluctant, but at this point, with all other avenues failed, and we have really no obligation to proceed with it other than joining this group, helping that group get additional funding, grants, etc. In a very large now. How many towns do you have now, Steve?
You will be the 19th.
Town. So
I think it's a good idea.
Madam Chairman, I'll make the motion that town of Westminster join the Deerfield Valley Communications Union District
I'll second that motion.
Been moved
under
and
provisions of 30 VSA Chapter 82.
It's been moved and seconded that we apply for admission to the Deerfield Valley Communications Union District under the provisions of the resolution. Is there more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, there's one motion. Now we'll need a motion so this is Lisa Colby.
Lisa's on.
Yep. Hi. Hi, guys.
Hi. You're willing to be the representative to the,
Yep, I am. I would like to do that. If no one else wants to do the job.
that would be wonderful. Yeah.
Lisa, just so you know, I put my name as the alternate, so if I can
Okay.
help in any way.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we have Lisa Colby be the representative to the Deerfield Valley Communications Union District with Russell Hodgkins as an alternate.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Lisa Colby as a representative to the Deerfield Valley Communications Union District for the term of 1 year and Russell Hodgkins as the alternate. Moved and seconded. Is anybody discussion? No?
Can I ask a quick question? Are we able to have more than one alternate?
There is, go ahead. Yes,
Okay,
there's a line for it. Let's put it that way. There are
there
no,
is a line for it. All right.
Without having a lot of time to publicize this, I put my name down, but I'm willing to back off, and I really think we should have 2 or 3.
Okay,
we can
Okay?
add them after, I'm sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
great.
This is technical, we always have to have 1, 2, and 3, because who gets to be first, who gets to be second is alternative, or does it matter?
Well, yeah, it is if I could clarify, you appoint a representative and that's your voting member on the board. The alternates are certainly welcome, as is any member of the public, to attend any board meetings, but should the representative be unavailable, then you have an alternate who will be able to vote instead of the representative, in lieu of the representative. So it's a way of guaranteeing that you'll always be adequately represented with any decision made by the governing board of the Deerfield Valley Communication Union District.
Well, we have one in Russell, then if someone else comes up and said, I'd like to do it, we can figure that out. So.
I just want to jump in. My neighbor and who also lives in Westminster, Mike Oster, is on this call, and he is interested in also being an alternate.
We didn't catch the name.
Oh, Mike Oster. Oster. He lives in Westminster.
We're gonna add him as an alternate?
I mean, technically, you're supposed to have 1 and 0, because who would know who gets to vote? If both come as alternate, you don't know which one's actually voted.
Your representative would be the voting member,
Right,
so.
but if the representative didn't show up,
Right.
that's all I'm saying. You only get 1 vote.
Yep.
In the
Well-
past, all you'd ever say is just 1 or 2, but.
Yeah, if I could suggest, I've been in this position. where I had to leave the meeting early to attend a board meeting at the select board meeting in another town. So I designated at that point of the meeting, and of course it could happen ahead of time, which of the alternates was going to serve as the voting member on that at that meeting.
Okay, that works.
You don't have to argue about it, is what I'm saying. You can work it out, depending on, who's available.
So do we want to amend the motion? Do we want to wait till we hear from Mr. Oster in case?
Mike is here. Mike,
Oh, he is?
I'm here. Yep. Lisa kind of filled me in on this opportunity, and I'm happy to serve as an alternate for her.
Well, I'll add amendment that we add his name to the alternate list.
Seconded.
I moved and seconded to add the name of Mike Oster as an alternate to the Deerfield Valley Communications Board. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Wait, so that's adjusting the,
that's right.
That's
Right.
amendment, now we
Okay,
gotta
now-
vote for them. Yes,
okay,
That's
so,
an adjustment to the first, to Shell's other, right?
that's
so we
correct.
add, yeah, we added Mike's name. So now we're going to vote on appointing Lisa Colby, the representative, and as alternates, Russell Hodgkins and Mike Oster. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you. If I could just point out to the board and to our new board members at DV that we have our meeting tomorrow night at 5 o'clock online. And I think Lisa may already have the link, but we'll try to add Mike and Russ to the list. And there is, this meeting is for purposes of reviewing the annual report that we're obliged to submit to the public, and it's to be reviewed by all the select boards. I know this is kind of late notice for you, but I didn't want to send it out before or presume, a vote to join by your board. But you will be voting members as soon as we pass the motion to accept Westminster as a 19th town. And I hope that you'll be able to at least feel free to speak to the issues that may come up at our meeting. The agenda will be out, it's publicly posted, and on our website at dvfiber.net for any member of the public to link into our meetings.
Great.
Thank you so much for your care with this issue. And we are determined to get everyone connected in our member towns.
Okay, so what about the clerk's signature?
I will get the
that.
clerk's signature.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Thank you.
Now, we will make the motion to admit you pending the receipt of those documents if that tends to be a problem. That won't hold things up because we need to proceed as quickly as possible on any of the questions before the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank-
Okay, next, draft of new personnel policy update.
We're working on it.
Thank you for working on it. Great, we appreciate that. FY22 draft budget, pages 5, 6, and 7. Let's go over those.
So if it's your pleasure, I would like to go back and go over some of the things that have changed since our last meeting on the pages that we had completed.
These pages are not numbered.
The bottom right.
Yes, they are. All right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the very first page, VLCT is holding their membership.
Oh, yeah, okay, good.
Wyndham Regional Commission went up 2.5%.
Mhm.
And our insurance has dropped yet again with our rate that we have accomplished. So we are anticipating a drop in our workman's comp and property casualty and unemployment costs.
That's good news. Mhm,
So I would like those three so that I can turn them to black,
mhm.
approved by you folks.
We're not making motions.
No, you're not making motions. You're just,
I mean,
you're
one of
talking
them went
about them. and-
down, one stayed the same that we thought was gonna go up, and the other went up slightly. I'm good with that.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay,
great.
page 2. Contracted services with NIMRIC, monthly reconciliation. We are holding the cost for one more year.
We're getting the hours that we're supposed to be getting now.
We are getting the hours that we're supposed to be getting right now, yes.
And that's including some of the end of the year stuff that we talked about?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good.
So their fees are holding steady.
Mhm.
Then the next two are the ballot clerks and operating supplies. We're down a little bit because we only have 2 elections this coming year that we know of. So both of those are stable or dropping.
Mhm.
What about this? No, that's gonna be in this year's budget though, isn't it? It's this absentee ballot.
That's correct.
school.
But the school should be paying for that.
Mhm. Okay.
No other further questions or concerns? We'll move on. Page 3.
Mhm.
We did get confirmation that the disaster and CAMA is going up slightly, but not anything substantial. So we figured that an extra $100 would cover that. Did talk to the new clerk along with Ally, and they have come up with their budget, maintaining on office supplies, maintaining on computer expense, going up a little bit on postage because it went up. Due subscriptions, Ally was doing that one large course that was costing some serious money, but Pauline won't be doing that in her first year. She'll have to get her feet on the ground before we have to worry about that. So it went down a little bit.
And new person, is that what you mean?
That's
by
what I
new
mean
person?
by
Okay.
it's why it's went down is because the clerk is a new person and it's not,
Mhm.
travel expenses stayed the same and, period. We're all set with that.
Yes.
Page 4 was all set to start with. Page 5, this is the new stuff.
Mhm.
The first line is the alarm system. We enhanced it last year, had to improve it because it was very old and needed to be updated. We updated it within the box that we have, which saved us a slew of money. But now we can maintain that level of service at this point.
Hey, Susan,
Yeah. Hello?
Nate Stoddard.
Yeah, hi Nate, go ahead.
Can you give me the account number you're talking about? In the document, in the email, it doesn't go by page. It's one big rolling page. So I don't know where page 5 starts.
Alarm system, and it's 0033730780.00.
It's just about total municipal building utilities. That's what we're going to now.
Russell, are we gonna see so we've got a chunk of money for the update, which we shouldn't have to update again. So what's the maintenance on this thing?
Yeah.
Alarm system.
Oh, the alarm system, sorry, go ahead again.
What's the maintenance? I mean, this should be the last expense that we have on this, except for year-to-year maintenance.
We have a specialized line and we have a cost to mutual aid. So both of those are part of that. And then any service call, we placed in that. And we do need to inspect, to make sure that it's working once a year. So all of that is lumped into that $850.
But the $15,000 is the upgrade, correct?
No, it's paid before.
Yeah, that's total.
That's a total of all the other
Electric
items
on
before
page
that.
4.
It's because we.
Yeah.
go to the
You gotta
next
go
one.
back to page 4, the
Include-
bottom section, page 4, is where you start.
Yeah,
The electric bill went way up because of the heat pump.
see, that alarm system is actually part of the municipal.
Okay.
building.
Yeah, it's just the total of that
Yeah.
section.
And those increases were, yeah, electricity mostly.
Nate, did you find where we are?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good with that. Animal control officer, that's gone down some.
We brought it back down because we're not getting the service nor the expense that that line deserves, but it's a volunteer position, so
How have our dog complaints been?
they're still there. I do a lot myself just because it's easier. I can't get a hold of her half the time, so this is
Mhm.
why this line has gone down.
Okay. Sheriff's Department, is that the same? Do we have a contract from them?
We have a letter that states they're going to hold their service
Mhm.
dollars. I have copies if you would like to see them.
Same hours.
Same hours, same contract.
Mhm. Have you been happy with their service?
Not exactly. I found that a lot of the hours that were supposed to be doubled are at the exact same time. So yes, it's very good for them for a domestic or something serious to have two officers at the same time.
Mhm.
But that doesn't help us with twice the coverage is what we were told, that we would end up with 16 hours of coverage within a day's time. And I don't see that. I don't see not even 12. I see more of a couple extra hours on one end or the other. So it is their first year trying to do this, and they're still working out the kinks.
So we have hopes it will improve? is that-
You can only hope that it improves because it's not
Mhm.
the total package that they said it was going to be yet.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I make a suggestion, considering we've done this, I think, twice before? Perhaps we could table a little time for the next meeting. Could you disperse that document so we can go over it a little bit and make sure we're comfortable before we
Mhm.
Absolutely.
approve?
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
No, great, thank you. Table that discussion.
Thank you, Russell.
No problem. The veterinary services have pretty been pretty level funded throughout. You can see that we're using about $950. It went up just a smidge this past year. Hence, we went up to 1,200, but we didn't see any need to go up any higher at this point. The ambulance service does have a new contract, or is a new contract for us.
Why is there 2 lines there? I don't know, I'm a little confused.
It's the way it was done, and I'm sorry. It's just the new contracted line, and then the total ambulance is silly. I could remove that one line if you wanted to.
How's it adding up? I don't-
Right.
It doesn't, because I wanted to give you the old amount so that you'd know that the old contract amount was 43,335. The new contract amount is 45,000.
Right, but on
So-
the second one, it should be 45,000 also, right?
That's
Yeah.
correct, but I
Yeah.
left it there for the last year's to show you what it was.
Right, we've always been
But-
sort of surprised they've held it even all the.
Yeah.
you know,
That's
the last
correct,
5
and they
years,
did go
so-
up this year.
Yeah.
They're looking for a three-year contract from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024 at a rate of $45,000. This would be payable in equal installments of $37.50 per month.
Mhm,
The cost will remain the same for years 2 and 3 of
mhm.
this agreement.
So I'm trying to figure the 125 compared to the 131.
It includes all of the above numbers, the 3,200, the 86,400, the 45 is 125,535. I would have to make sure that that's correct, but at this point, the line items are right, but maybe the total is,
The total doesn't sound right.
okay, well, I'd have to do that, Craig.
Okay,
But
I think
we're
it's-
still going down through line items, so
right. Well, I'm just, that's all, I'm just,
I'll put a note on it to check total.
okay.
Well, it's because under total ambulance, you didn't put 45,000.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah, okay, so you just have to change that, okay.
No,
No,
it's still off a little bit, but
Oh,
fine, you can go
okay.
add it up.
all right,
'Cause it should be around 131. It should be about the same, but anyways,
right.
okay.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. Okay. Make a note. Okay,
So this next item is just a discussion of pavement. And we've had 125 for 7 years now. Pavement has increased. It has been a relative bouncing ball at times because of the rate of fuel costs. But at this point, we're not paving as much as we should be each year to keep up with the maintenance of our roads. So I threw this 135 just to get the conversation rolling. It's not set in stone. You've been told before that we did not pave this year, trying to get a better rate for next year so that we'll have what we have in the till, which is about 125 and change. Plus this year's on 125. So we'll be doing, we're hoping about a mile and a half in one spot and approximately 3/4 of a mile in another spot that Dyer needed.
So the only thing we did this year was the back Westminster Road. which
And that was
really
actually
the
in
money from Basins from the year before.
FY20, that's correct.
So then we went into this year and after July 1st, we never did anything. So
That's
now
correct.
we're gonna go, okay.
That's correct.
Russ
Yes.
or Susan, whoever, Nate Stoddard. So your budgeted amount for FY21 of 125,000, you're not expending? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct.
And so in 2 meetings ago, you gave a update of we're tracking a surplus of 245,000. Is that 125 in that projected surplus?
No, it's in the retreatment fund.
If he says, if what Russ has said, he carried it over and put it into that retreatment fund.
It's
That's why
in the
we're getting-
retreatment fund.
Right.
So your budget for 2022 is going to be 260,000 is what you're telling me.
Yeah, but this is money we're asking the voters. So we're only asking the voters for another 125, but total, you're right.
Okay.
so there'll be 250,000 plus 135,000 for repaving?
No,
No.
we
I'm
only
sorry.
have 125 and change, and
Oh,
I don't know the
okay.
number off my top of my head.
Gotcha.
265 if you go with the 10,000 extra.
And if you want to maintain it one more year, that's fine.
Do we have
But
stuff?
if conversations need to happen that our retreatment is falling behind.
Mhm. Are there any roads in particular that, we don't have to go into big discussion, but,
We have two sections that are in dire need. One is
Uh-huh.
right in front of the school through the Westminster West town.
right,
And the other one is another section on Westminster West Road.
we had some people asking about that last year for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, we have not set those in stone yet. In
Mhm.
fact, that conversation is going to happen very soon, and you will be kept up to the conversation because we don't want to wait until spring and be put off until fall to actually get the work done again.
Toby, did you have?
Well, I just wanted to, it's not for paving, but there is a road that desperately needs a mirror. And that's the one that the West Road and the Pinnacle Road, you know, where that road comes out, you literally cannot see a car coming from the right.
Okay,
There needs to be a serious mirror there.
okay.
I personally, Madam Chairman, think that adding $10,000 to this repavement is a very good idea at this point in time, because we have been falling behind. Mark Lund told us we were falling behind when he was still road foreman. So I think it's time that we definitely put some more money into that account.
Yeah,
I don't,
I agree with you, you know.
I don't have a big problem with that. I think
The
it's good
problem
to
is,
catch up.
like I said, it's going up so much, we're doing less every year, not the same.
And
Right.
that's my only concern, is that the 10,000 may not be really enough.
It isn't, it's just between the trucking and all that, you know, you haven't seen it going down in years, you know, so. No, I'm comfortable, let's stick to 135, we can always, at the end, come back to it.
Susan, one more question, if I may.
Yep, go ahead.
Is next year our cycle year to get money from the state for paving?
For class 2, you're saying? So
Just for
no,
paving,
we're not.
yeah, for class 2, just for paving, the state runs each town on a cycle. You get money from the state on this certain cycle for paving.
So that's how we took care of back Westminster Road. So no, we would probably be up in 2023,
Thank you.
For the year after this.
the year after or the year after that, depending on how much money they get.
Okay, thank you. So what, winter maintenance, I don't understand why these are 0. I'm sure there's a reason for that. somewhere.
They've been on there, and at some point, some years we've had to actually borrow to supply those. We haven't in the last 8 years, but they're there for the reason of we've had to use them previously.
Well, the money for winter maintenance is somewhere else, is that what you're saying? But we have these lines in case we have to borrow?
To
is that what you're
borrow
saying?
or to allocate, yes.
Well, way back once in a while, we got desperate, we'd hire a contract service,
That's correct.
Uh-huh,
plow out the
Yeah.
yard in, let's say, the post office or someplace like that.
Right,
Then that's where it would be a contract.
I see. So it's a way of coding.
Yeah, when I first got on, we were actually hiring some people to do some of the yards, and now our town highway does it all.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So wages, 2.5% is not the 345 that's on that line, but going through the employees that we have working for us right now, this is giving that a 2.5% increase and keeping us in track with what we have for employees. So we were a little over zealous last year, not knowing exactly who was staying, who was going. Now we're pretty set, so we're not going up the complete amount. It's a bookkeeping item, period. Uniforms, we're maintaining. We have a new supplier, and then he is very good, and he's maintaining his pricing. So we're going to keep our pricing the same. This was much cheaper to do it this way than what we had prior. Supplies, we're maintaining, we're not asking for an increase. It seems to be pretty level funded across the board as you look through the years.
Can you go back to uniforms? I'm looking at you. Who gets the uniform?
Well, if you're looking at the personnel policy, you
Which is
should have seen that. We do it now.
Oh,
We
okay.
buy the jackets and the shirts
That's what I see. So
instead
this
of
is not
having
a-
them do it individually. And
No, I just want to follow you because I thought you said contracted service. That's what.
well, when we were here, when I got here, we had folks buying boots in 2 different sizes.
Right.
They were supplying their family with clothing, and that's not what it was intended for. It was intended
Yeah.
to supply them with
I just want to make sure because uniform makes it sound like it's uniform when there's really a clothing budget.
it's a
Clothing
clothing
allowance,
budget,
right.
uniforms and boots.
Yeah.
Right, thanks.
Can we go back to wages for a second?
Absolutely.
So the proposed budget for 2020 or for 22 is $345,000, correct?
That number's sitting there, yep, until you tell me different.
And our 20 budget was 267,498.
You got to add up those little lines.
Mhm.
So that's what I don't know
Add up what
about
little lines?
this.
Overtime.
Because
The remaining lines,
down underneath them, see where those, that's what I don't like
Remember?
about it. I don't know where you get the total because
Yeah.
you're throwing salt and stand and everything else.
Mm,
you stop at call and pay and you add those items up along with the wages, and that gives you the total.
right.
You want back up.
If
from
you
the-
want me to go and fill in those lines with history, I can do that. We talked about it, we never made a decision last year.
It does make you sit there and try to mathematically figure it all out, whether it actually went up or not.
Yeah, well, it would be better if the 267
Was what the total was.
was the total
Yeah.
of those numbers, or reverse it and
Right.
do your overtime, holiday, sick, vacation first, and then
Mhm.
your total wages at the bottom. It'd be
Right.
easier to read it.
Yeah, you're right.
It just
Okay.
won't add up to the bottom line won't add up doing it that way, but it sure the heck would make you easier to understand.
Mhm.
Okay, that's all
I know, I look at it every time going like, well, I
Yeah,
gotta sit there
I
and bring my calculator and add it all up.
Oh, Russ is doing the calculation.
So FY '20 was 317,179 total,
317.
179. If I didn't make a mistake, doing it quickly.
Yeah, I'll hold you to that.
That's cool.
So going down a little further, salt and sand. We went up last year, so we surely didn't think we needed to go up this year. We're going to have a excess in that line item this year because we're buying salt cheaper this year than we bought it my first year here. I have no idea why, but it was a bidding war and we jumped in at the right time and locked in at a very good rate for the salt.
So you're saying the FY '21 is going to be lower than 115?
That's correct. But next year, will it stay that low? Probably not. But this year we happened to luck out and locked in very early, and
Mhm.
we're seeing the benefits of it.
So that's sort of an insurance budget number.
It is, yes.
Mhm.
And yes, and this year it's a crystal ball. If you could just assume that the rates will stay the same, then we'd be,
Uh-huh.
we'd be able to lower it. But at this point in time, sand is still going up constantly, but like I said, the salt dropped this year substantially, and
And we don't have a sand supply, do we have a sand supply?
we have two contracts that we have with suppliers right
Yeah.
now.
We restocked this year.
Right,
we,
that's what I
and we
thought.
restock
Yeah,
from,
Yeah.
from the,
Chuck put us in good condition.
Yeah,
yes, so.
okay. Okay,
Stone and gravel, we maintained again. You're looking at, the history of it.
Boy, that
F-
culvert
FY
does
20.
go up and down, don't it?
What's that?
No culverts really went up and down, don't they? They go from 23 to 63 to 45 to 6,000.
Yeah, yep. We're still on stone and gravel
Oh,
for the
okay.
second, but,
yeah,
so the 50,000 we've been carrying for quite a few years. And if you can see, it's still fine. The additional stone that we put in there, it works great for us. That is our Act 64 cushion of stone to line our ditches. And that has been working out very, very well.
and so you should know, or we should know pretty much at this point, how much of that money we've spent, right? Because we're not gonna spend that much more. Well, I guess we are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've got
okay.
all spring, and that's where,
Yeah.
when the mud season hits,
Yeah.
that's where you don't put more gravel into mud. You put stone into mud
Yeah,
to make a base and
gotcha.
not more mud.
Those three lines are almost get together. I mean, when
Yeah.
you do stone and gravel and stone and culvert and drainage, it's almost like
Yeah.
those three are together.
Mhm.
And culverts, drainage and fabric, Craig, you're exactly right. I mean, some roads need new culverts, some don't. So if they're doing Act 64 work, we're not replacing culverts just cause. If they don't need it, we go right by them.
Well, the other thing is
So-
to defend them too, is I remember that 63, we end up getting money back from, so what it
That's
doesn't show
correct.
you the revenue coming in.
That's
When all of
correct.
a sudden we have a flood or something, we need a whole bunch of culverts. What
Mm-hmm.
it's not showing is the revenue that we got from the state for fixing those.
For grants, yes,
Right.
we got a grant for
Yeah.
that. You're exactly right.
But we don't really have an idea of what culverts we might have to replace for the current year?
We do, and
Uh-huh.
he's starting to purchase them as we speak.
Uh-huh.
So we know that we didn't need the 32 because we had one very large culvert that he needed to purchase this year.
Right.
He's going to this year. We wait till the prices right now where everybody's got inventory and not any work. So then
Right.
we purchase it at a better price. But next year we don't have that big culvert to do. So we were able to look at it and say, we can probably take a couple $1,000s off of that.
Mhm.
And this was also one of the line items that we stole money from for the truck. And we wanted to make sure we were doing
I don't believe we want to use that word stole in the select board meeting, but
Susan, if I may.
yes, go ahead, Nate.
So I believe I just heard that we have a very good rate. We negotiated a very good rate for salt and sand, but we're staying the same in the budget. Russ brought up the point I was going to ask about the $8,000 that we, what's a different word you want to use? Moved out of the culverts and drainage and fabric to buy the truck. I see that you're reducing that line for next year by 2,000. If we had $8,000 available and we know our inventory, what is our real cost to doing the culverts we know we need to do with the grant monies that we know we can apply for to help us assist in that? Why is that line item not going down?
More than 2,000.
more than 2,000.
Yeah.
And the salt and sand, we got a great price somewhere, but it's not going down.
Well, that was the price for this year, right?
That's
For
correct.
last year,
We're not assuming that salt price is going to maintain at that level again next year. I think we'd be very silly in thinking that for some reason we're going to experience this lull for more than just this 1 year because of the little bidding war that they had with a new supplier. So we are assuming that our costs are going to go back up to the 80. I think it was $88 a ton 2 years ago, and it was 78 this year. So what we're assuming is the sand has been constantly going up. and the salt will go back up to where what we're used to. Hence, we're not going up, but we're maintaining.
I understand that, but I think he has a good point about the culvert. If
You're taking two lines. Which one are you talking about?
okay,
You can't
sorry.
add them together. So if you're talking about sand and salt, we
No.
need to talk about sand and salt.
Right.
If you're talking about culverts, we need to talk about culverts.
Right, okay, when we're done sand and salt, then we can talk
Okay.
about culverts again.
The sand, the cost of sand didn't go down. That went
No,
up.
that is
The
constantly
salt
be
went
going
down,
down. It's
and
the
then
salt
last
that made the
year-
difference.
Last year, we used more sand than we ever have, and not any more than salt. So it's a crystal ball, but
Absolutely.
Um,
You're estimating on what the
without Chuck
winter's
here,
gonna be.
you know, you're trying to guess, and that's also a year ahead, you know, so it's hard
Mhm.
to guess at that, but,
Mhm.
I mean, you could lower it, I guess, but I don't know. If you look at sand and salt, we've been pretty consistent around in the 40s. So,
In the 40s, what does that mean? That's the price?
well, we were 41 at one year, 46 the next.
Oh, I see, stone and gravel.
That's
you're
stone
talking.
and
That's
gravel.
stone and gravel, yeah, yeah, okay.
Salt and sand,
Salt
we've
and
been
sand.
going about 110.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm on the wrong side.
I can see how that would fluctuate and you just can't tell, but,
I guess why I was confused is that salt and sand has gone up every year. And now that it's been clarified that sand is going up, but the salt is a great rate and going down, the dollar stays the same. So with that clarification, I makes a little bit more sense. But when, as a taxpayer, I hear things are going down, we got a great rate, but our budget continues to go up, it poses the question.
I guess,
And because of dirt roads, we use a lot of sand in this town.
I get that. You're missing my point.
No, I get your point. You're right. You gotta balance it out, so, yeah.
can we talk about culverts a minute?
Absolutely.
So if I'm understanding Nate correctly, what he's saying is if in this year, FY '21, we budgeted $32,000 and we were able to take out $8,000 without too much damage to anything. And we know what culverts we probably have to, we would kind of know what kind of money we need for culverts in next year, right? Roughly.
We do roughly, yep.
Uh-huh. And,
That's why we came with that 30, not
Uh-huh.
32.
right? Okay, so
And
you're
we're not
saying.
guaranteed any grants at this point, but we know we're
Uh-huh,
eligible.
uh-huh,
I got paperwork somewhere.
uh-huh.
I guess I'm still, unless you're, without Chuck here, it's hard to tell us where he's,
Mhm.
but if that number was even at 25, I'd be comfortable, but I'm not the one to call that shot, you know, your
Mhm.
system on it. Cause it's just, when you look back at the prior years where one year you only use 4,500, the next year you only use $6,000,
Mhm.
it's so variable that 30,000 is a lot of money. You know?
Mhm.
You think Chuck could make the next meeting? Russ?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, if
We
we
can
want
talk.
to table that
Yes,
culvert
please.
and drainage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's table that one. Thank you.
Maybe have a specific idea of what we would need to do.
Yeah. From the expert.
Thank you.
Okay,
Guardrails.
guardrails. Steel is going up and it used to be that there was a surplus of used guardrail and band rail, and we were able to tap into that resource. People are seeing that it is such a high market now that the used inventory is still there, but you have to be first come, first serve, and it's not guaranteed. We're finding that you can see that when we need guardrail, it's typically a $12,000, $9,000 expense. We weren't willing to go up that much. We'd rather try the 75 to see how we're going to venture for one more year. We know that the 5,000 that we gave for last year was going to be covered by a grant that we had already received. Hence why we were comfortable going to 5,000. Next year, we're not we're not positive that we're going to get this coverage. So hence why we decided to look at bringing it up to closer to what we're actually spending.
Is what we need for guardrails essentially, do we know we have to replace them and then there are some that get,
We're supposed to have by now replaced all of our wired
yeah,
rail.
yeah,
It's been deemed
Yeah.
inadequate. It cuts through the cars. It doesn't keep cars back into the traffic lane. So we are slowly but surely replacing those areas. We still have a few more. And once those are done, then we'll be re-looking at this. But right now, we're still trying to get rid of all of those cable rails. We had a taxpayer, actually, no, it wasn't a taxpayer. It was a visitor to the area, took down some of our guardrail, and we are getting reimbursed from their insurance company.
right.
It's in the process.
Chairman, let's go back to that though, because on the insurance claim, you didn't have steel guardrails on replacement.
We have to. We can't replace in kind.
Yeah, but it said wooden on it.
It has
On
the wooden,
insurance- On the insurance claim, you had wooden, which I didn't quite understand.
it has the wooden blocks, and that's what they clarified it as, is the wooden blocks. It's poorly written, but it was also done by,
So those are just the blocks on the end of the.
that's correct.
All right.
But it is still band rail, because we can't replace, we can't repair with what we had. So when they took it down, they are responsible to replace in kind what they had and what we had. And so they're paying for the new band rail.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies it.
You still got that long section on the back Westminster Road. You did half, still got the other half.
That's
gonna
correct.
suck up.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's
correct.
gonna suck up most of it just one year.
Yep. There's a lot more than you think.
That's
You
a
drive
long
around, you see it everywhere
Yeah.
still. So
You see a lot of short section, but that's the long
Right.
section is still up.
road signs and posts, every year it bounces up and down. We got a grant 2 years ago that replaced all of the signs on West Road.
Right.
That made a huge difference in what we needed to replace and what we had to budget for. So we're still maintaining our 2,300, which looks across the board as being pretty average. Liquid chloride. This is a point of contention with many folks. Well, this year was worse than any that I've experienced here, being so dry, that we didn't touch our roads for a long time, because as soon as you grade them, they turned right to powder. And the gravels that we're buying right now, they're very silty, and hence, we left them alone. They were hard, they were dry, they were clean, but they were dusty still. So we chloride, and we got probably more calls this summer than we'd got in the last 4 or 5 easily. And we were using water and chloride, and it just seems every year that we're using all of our chloride budget in the summertime, and we still need it for the winter. We need to spray our salt so it sticks to the roads in certain cold circumstances where it just doesn't bounce right off and just go into the ditch. So Chuck and I have been around and around and around on this. We got a grant to replace our tanks last year. And so we have the 2 brand new chloride tanks, but we're under the gun to have more on hand. We needed a year, another whole year to justify this, but at this point, it looks like we're going to be over by that much this year. And probably even more than that, to be honest. It'd probably be in the $14,000, $15,000 range, because of such the dryness of this year. You can't guarantee dryness every year, but with the climate change that we're seeing, it's becoming more and more probable that we're going to be experiencing this. So that's why we're asking for 2,000 on that.
Makes sense.
The road permits actually went down from the state. Our portion now is like 1450. So we cut that. Small tools he's maintaining. Contracted services we're maintaining. That contracted services is our wood cutters, a big excavator if we need it for something. But we're doing a lot more ourselves. And if we don't do it ourselves, we're getting grants to cover it, such as Forest Road, which is going to be done this coming month. Telephone internet has gone up. On his end, it's only about $500. On the total end, you saw that it's going up almost $2,000. Electricity is the same. It's gone up a little bit. His rate carries through the winter about 560 to 600 in a quarter per month. So the rates are up a little. Miscellaneous training, we have been maintaining that 1,200. We do have a couple more classes that Chuck wants to look into. Everyone now has completed and passed the chainsaw class. We've had 3 individuals go through the grading class, but coming up is the road, what do they call it? The complete road maintenance program. And it brings you for 2 days into a situation where they show you, 5 different classifications of roads and how to correct each and every particular problem. And we've got at least 2 or 3 guys going to that. So,
And that'll come out of this year's budget, or will it?
this is coming up in FY22. No more questions on that one. We skip down to equipment, building maintenance. He's replaced all the LED lights in the town shop through a grant from Vermont Energy. That's not right, quite right. Nate, what's that program with the lights?
Efficiency Vermont.
Thank you, Efficiency Vermont. He has fire protected the furnace room and the small tools room. So we're not looking at anything substantial this year, other than we have some roof repair that needs to be done, and he's still trying to get it painted.
And so the 12,000, that's what you figure the painting and the roof repair will come to? Have you sort of priced that out?
We have estimated that with a contractor that looked at for us.
Okay. Thank you.
Radio repair system that we've been carrying $800. We've been carrying older radios because there's just no need of just tossing them. We're going to get to the point where we need to replace at least 2, and that is the $800.
Mm-hmm.
Equipment heat, and it depends on the year, but energy costs are about $2,000. I have no idea why FY20 was actually only $363, whether it was coded wrong or
What does
whatever.
that mean, equipment heat?
It is your plugging them in at night, and it is also the extra fuel additive
Got you.
that they need for winter maintenance.
Okay.
I guess he calls it equipment heat.
Thank you.
So going down to gas, fuel, and oil. Again, we experienced a decrease in fuel costs. How long can we expect that? I don't know. We looked at it and we looked at all the numbers going down through the years, and again, we carried 75 in FY20 and came out okay. This year we bumped it to 82 because we just assumed, that the fuel was going to go back up, which it didn't. So again, that's a crystal ball estimate. It has to do with the fire department also. They get fuel from us, so it depends on their calls. So again, I'm willing to listen. It's one of those things that you just don't have great answers with right now.
So we could go with maybe 75,000 and.
That's what we did 2 years ago when we were fine.
I think we should, because we just replaced another six-wheeler with a tandem, which means that when we go to haul and work, it's taking less trips, and we're definitely burn less fuel.
Okay. Yep. I'm again.
I'd be comfortable at 75.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody else? Yeah.
Repairs and parts. We are in good shape with our equipment right now, and let's knock on wood. So we took 5,000 off of that. Looking through the history of the equipment and how we've replaced them and what we're anticipating, that's pretty real solid number.
Later on, are we going to talk about, we discussed whether instead of just putting a chunk of money in the equipment reserve fund, whether we would plan ahead for the year, we knew what we were going to replace. You and Craig were going to talk about that?
Yeah, we haven't yet, but that's not coming
Okay.
up until the end.
Yeah, okay. Good, thank you. That's the first $156.27. So I've actually seen the 27 cents for the chainsaw.
Usually it rounds it down. Huh. Interesting.
Where the 27 cents comes from, it really blows my mind, because there is no sense the whole line.
It just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
so proposed total budget for that is down 7,000.
We're looking at.
Cemeteries,
So it will drop even more now, because we just took another 5 off it.
that's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So it should be 128.
Yep.
Okay.
So cemeteries, flags and markers. We found a new supplier, and flags are getting cheaper and cheaper, but it is maintaining the budget.
Is the stone repair, is that actually for the headstones?
Yes, the ones that are tipped and broken.
Right.
And he's not keeping up with that.
Uh-huh.
We're pressing for him since November's been such a mild month. We're hoping that he gets there to do another whole big jag of them. Because last year we did lose a lot, especially in the west.
If we decide to fix that wall by the new cemetery, is that more of a road or a cemetery expense? Do you know what I mean?
I do. It depends on how you want to pay for it. If you're going to put it in the regular budget, it should go into contracted services. If you're planning on asking the voters to use surplus, then
Mhm.
you don't put it there.
Okay,
It depends on how you want to do it.
that's what I was
We
thinking
know
of. I
that
just wondered.
Materials were, this is by recall, were like 56,000. Is that right? You remember?
I don't remember.
Sheldon?
Plus the labor, that's the,
For the cemetery,
Yeah, the big wall.
well, it was 50 or 56 or 63 or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Mhm. Okay,
So anyway,
Yeah.
that would have to be renewed, or, re-looked at.
yeah.
Contracted services. We put it out to bid and we've got 2 bids out of 7 requests.
Is this the mowing?
Excuse me?
Is that mowing?
This is mowing, cemetery care. How long is this contract? 3 years? 3 years.
We're pretty close.
Thank you.
We have had Hillside for, well, ever since I've been here. They've come in cheaper. You can see that they're cheaper again this year. But the cemetery complaints have increased a lot with the weed whacking and the lack of. I can truly say that the town hall was awful looking most of the year. We had some new grass grow and they didn't come to mow it, and it was literally grown so long that it bent over. They did not touch near our trailer for our storage, and they didn't mow around the post office. They were asked 4 or 5 times to change this and get this right, and it just didn't seem to happen this year for some reason. I don't know why. So it's totally up to you. Tip Top came highly recommended by our cemetery sexton. He works with this company on other areas. I brought him around to each and every one of them. The bids came in a little odd. One had broke down each mowing, and the other one had just a lump sum for the summer. And both of those prices are locked in for the 3-year contract. So each year those are solid. There's no no increase of.
Do they get their lump sum in one shot, or do we pay them over the summer?
No, they monthly bill us for what they do. And that's the other thing is, if you look at the history on your contracted services, you can see that very seldom do they reach their maximum budgeted amount. And is that a good thing? No, actually it's not. It should have a little more TLC. When it's hot and the grass isn't mowing, then you'd think that they would put their energies to the extra stuff, but they don't.
So my next question is gonna be is why didn't we withhold payment until they got?
It's done by the hour. So they're billing us just by the hour. So you can only ask for more service. And that's what I did. I asked for more service and again, got it, but it was not in a timely manner. It's not like it was, on their radar to do. And it should be. It should have been checked. Everything should be, especially when it's slow in a dry summer. And this year seemed to be, it's just over the top. We receive anywhere from 2 or 3 complaints to this year. If we didn't have well over a dozen, we didn't have not a one. And both of the sextons made mention that this was the worst year they've ever seen. And whether they didn't want to cut it too low to have it burn, I don't know. I don't know what their reasoning was, but it was a pretty shoddy year. But again, I'm not trying to weigh you in and sway you in your decision. I'm just giving you some facts that the service could be better. And if we do,
Is this on our table to decide tonight?
yes,
Oh, I'm just not very often, it wasn't in the minutes, so we didn't warn it.
I got it late and I didn't have it on the agenda. If you want to postpone it and wait I can do that also.
I just think if it's on the agenda, then they have an opportunity to come and explain. We're
Okay.
kind of throwing them off because I don't think they know we're even discussing this tonight.
Yeah.
And,
They both know.
Right.
They both know it because the bid opening,
Right.
I told them that they'd have a decision shortly because they got to plan their summers. But I can postpone it if you want me to put it on the agenda.
only because you're bringing up information that if I was just looking at the money, then it was a pretty easy decision. But
Right.
now you're throwing something out for discussion that I think if we do go with one, we want, I personally, after hearing what you're saying, would want to have some kind of a conversation that it isn't going to happen again.
Right.
Since we're locking into 3 more years.
That's
I
the thing, a
agree.
3-year
I agree.
contract for not that great work would make me nervous, so if they 1 year, be one thing, but. So, okay, so we could table that till the next meeting and
And
give them,
if they want to come and address it, they can, but
if they don't, we'll
Yeah.
just.
because you're giving us information that's going to sway how we vote.
Susan, may I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
So bid requests were sent to 7 companies, I heard. 2 responded. In your bid proposal, you had a bids due by, bids are going to be opened by dates. When were those dates? When was the select board going to meet to approve a contractor based off of that bid process?
Tonight, it was just omitted by myself. I was trying to look up the,
So have any of you select board members seen the bids to know if you're going to be voting on a particular bid, whether you're talking apples to apples, or are you just looking at a number?
No, we're looking at the,
But it wasn't in our agenda.
right, and we're
Wasn't
just
in
seeing it
Right.
tonight, that's
We're just
right,
seeing it now. I guess that's my issue.
right.
Well, thanks for bringing that up, Craig. That's very good.
But I think the issue is not what we're seeing here on the paper, but.
Yeah, but if it was in our package a day or so ahead, you could have
Yeah,
called
yeah, I
and
see
said,
what
hey,
you mean, yeah,
what's-
okay, good.
you know, that's all. And I was like, well, we're discussing a budget. That's where we're not even under this discussion. We're discussing our budget, and all of a sudden this is coming across our table. So I was like, well, I didn't think this was even part of our discussion at this point on it. It's good information to do the 14.9 for the money. I agree with that.
Right,
But to ask us to actually vote on this, I'm thrown off because I know both companies very well. So I'm like, well, okay. But what Russ is telling me is, boy, I tell you what, yeah, I would want to feel a little more comfortable. We have insurance from either one of us, that either one of these companies, that it wouldn't happen again.
and how would they avoid that? Like, what is
Exactly.
the process for, yeah,
Yeah. And it bothers me too when you're looking, somebody's mowing and the whole thing is brown and burnt and everything else. So,
right,
you know,
okay, good.
all right.
So are we tabling it till the next meeting?
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's the end of what we were going to talk about.
But we don't have no problem with the 14.9 as a contract, is the budget number, going back to what we're discussing.
there's no need of carrying it until you figure
Well,
out who you're
what-
gonna do, because that's
Yeah, because it
too
might
high.
be different, yeah,
But not by much, okay.
no. So I think we can finish this up for the next meeting.
I would ask that you continue. I mean, you only got your welfare services. I mean, this is
Do you want to finish the whole budget tonight? Is that
No,
what you're
this
saying?
page.
Oh, the
So might as
page,
well do
okay.
this, I mean, these
Okay.
are appropriations and there's nothing
Okay.
changing here.
Right, okay. All right,
So why the first one, visiting nurses, is in red is because they're petitioning for 14, but the 11.5 will always be in the budget.
mhm,
So that's why it's in red.
Yeah.
The others are all green because they are staying the same. And then the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are petitioning and are not guaranteed anything in your budget that you're approving.
right, because some are, yeah, they're all third year, and some of them are more,
That's
right?
correct.
Okay,
You've
And-
got Sevka that has a petition for 3,000 versus 2,500, but
mhm,
you're guaranteeing them 2,500. Same with Westminster Gazette. It's 5,400 petition, it's 4,600 in your budget.
mhm,
So, which,
mhm.
Is that right? They guaranteed that lower amount? I thought that once they came in front of us, the voters could get up and say, no, we either want to eliminate
they
it
of
all.
course can,
Okay,
but in your budget, you're carrying what you promised them. It's not jeopardy. You're not going out there and saying, I'd like to get, another $2,000 and losing my 8,000 that you've guaranteed me. I'm
Okay.
asking for 2 more, but I'm not,
huh. I
it's
didn't
not
know.
jeopardy.
I thought once you petition it, you're actually, some voters can get up and say.
They
no.
can on the floor. Absolutely, they can. They can say, yes, I make a motion that we don't grant them anything.
Right,
It
okay,
can change on the floor, but,
okay, I'm with you. That's what I thought.
okay, so that's all I needed.
Yeah.
Just to finish.
Okay, so for the next meeting, we'll start with the sanitation, and go through to the end. Be prepared to discuss that. Thank you. Thank you, Nate, for chiming in. Here's mine. Okay. All right, so we have an executive session for the town report dedication nominations.
I'll move that we go to executive session to discuss the town report of dedication nominees.
Seconded.
We've been moved and seconded to go into executive session for town report dedication nominations. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll do that after 10. Okay, new business, discussion, finance meeting with auditor. Let me give a little update on that.
Yes, please.
So today we met with, Kelly, Russ, Paul Harlow, I, and Ally met with Chad Hewitt, the auditor. What we wanted to do was find out who is doing what as far as finances. So it was really helpful. So Chad, we went through the expenses and everyone explained exactly what they did and where the controls were. And Chad asked questions about how we do this and how we do that and who does it. So that was very, and Russ took minutes on it, so we'll have a report on it too. So, one thing we were curious about whether there were any gaps or what needed to be filled. One thing we're going to do is appoint Kelly Thayer, the assistant treasurer, because she collects taxes. If people bring taxes in and the treasurer is not there, she takes in the taxes, but he feels that legally she should be an assistant town treasurer. So that made sense to me. But we're still going to need an assistant town treasurer to do most of the work for the treasurer because the new town clerk, Pauline O'Brien, she does not want to be the assistant treasurer. We were giving her that option to see if she wanted to do it. She does not. We have a letter to that effect. So that's a hole that will have to be filled with someone who has accounting experience who can.
Hey, Susan, it's Cynthia Stoddard.
Yep, go ahead.
Can you tell me if Chad had a recommendation? If Kelly is assistant treasurer, the assistant treasurer is usually a check signer in the absence of the treasurer. Did he say that that was okay because she writes checks and collects money?
She would not be able to do that.
Who would be the second signer on the checking account then, in absence of the treasurer?
The second assistant treasurer.
Oh,
Yeah, so the reason, it's essentially, Kelly's the assistant treasurer just so she can, bring in collect tax. You come in and pay your taxes, she'll be able to take those taxes as an assistant. She can't do anything else under the treasurer. She won't be doing
no,
it.
I understood that. I just didn't know there was going to be two assistants, and I was just curious who the second check signer was going to be, because you can't leave yourself without that second check signer.
Right. Well, we were hoping that Pauline might be interested in being the assistant treasurer, but she sent us a letter. She is not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're looking. We're starting today, so.
What we
Well, I'm
gonna-
really happy that you had that conversation with Chad. I think it's a great step in the right direction.
Thank you. It's very useful to me. I mean, it was good to have everybody down there and say, oh, you do this. And then Chad would say, and then who does what? And so I think he was impressed with some of the, controls that we had. And yeah, it was really useful to me. So Russ is going to write up the minutes and the report and people can see that. So yeah, thank you. That's kind of the overview. Any questions? Okay. And we can do that again. We can meet again. Chad was happy to if we feel like we have to fill in any holes or cover anything, but okay. Future meeting dates.
The next meeting is scheduled for the day before Thanksgiving, 11/25. Is that a problem? That's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
And we could have it on the Tuesday, but then we'd be back here, working okay, but because the fire department has training on Tuesdays. So I mean, Wednesday's fine with me, but
I'd rather, if we can have it in the fire station, I think it would be better, because then we can have more, we can have guests at the fire
Right.
station where we really
right,
are cramped here to have
right,
anything extra.
yeah, I
So
think
that would be the night before. Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
it's fine
Yeah.
with me.
Okay, let's plan to do that then.
Yep.
So the next.
Craig, is that all right with you? 11/25, the day before Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Okay, you have,
I guess I'm just going along with it. I was like, I don't start cooking a turkey till the morning.
So we'll have that in the fire. We'll be back at the fire department, so that'll be good.
Okay, great.
okay, so continuing that
Oh, I'm
discussion.
sorry, right.
December 9th is probably no problem. That's normal. But the next one is December 23rd. If we get all our business done, that would be the one that you would say, miss, just delete it. But if we're not, then we're gonna need it, or you can go to like December 16th and do back-to-back weeks with meetings to finish it before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
just FYI, just trying to keep you
Thank
in the loop, looking
Yeah.
at a calendar.
Okay, that's good. Managers report.
Just a few things. The Henwood Hill corner is cut by the road crew. They took off the sharpness.
It looks
So if
pretty-
you want to go
looks
look
good.
at it,
Oh, I gotta go see it, yeah.
It does look really good.
Yeah.
we did receive our check from the Hartley Hill Road North project of $25,500. That was a grant that we received from Grants and Aid. In front of you, you have the final draft, the final copy of the audit bound. Please take those home. Any questions, just give me a yell. And that's it.
Are we gonna do more work on Hartley Hill, or?
Not this
what
year.
was the grant for?
Not this went before winter. We're not going to.
Yeah,
But are we doing something in the spring or next summer? I don't know that.
well, what did we go after the grant for? What are we doing? That's
That
my
was
question.
Hartley Hill Road,
Yeah,
not Henwood Hill Road.
I get that.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, right now, we don't have another need to spend $37,500 until you guys come up with another.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Hartley Hill.
Okay, sorry.
I asked what the grant was for.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
What we're using
I'm
it
sorry.
for.
We used it for the north end of the road
Yeah.
towards Saxon's River, and we used it for Act 64 compliance. And it has the stone ditches, it has the out spigots, we have the culverts where some of them were replaced. We actually added, I think, 2 along the way to be in compliance. So it was a complete in compliance of Act 64.
That's all I want to know.
It's noticeable.
I'm sorry?
It's very noticeable.
Yes, it is. It does look very good. Sorry, I totally misunderstood that.
Okay.
So you have something else, right? No.
I'm sorry?
You have something else on your report?
I do not.
Yeah, okay. Boards and commissions.
North Westminster, we met.
Oh.
I will, I'll give you, anybody wants copies of it. I'll take the credit for 2 ladies that were unbelievable outstanding because they did the minutes. I'll give you the minutes of the meeting in a survey that we're starting to work on. We're gonna send a survey out. And if anybody didn't want a copy, anybody will give it to you.
Yeah.
I brought a few
Oh, yeah, I'd love a copy.
here. And it was really pretty good. It was, and hopefully, there was a couple of the members that didn't show up, but it was because we did it at the last minute. But I hopefully will send it out and both the ladies were there, were a great help, but going over and really enthused about see what we could do.
Good.
And we're gonna break it into small committees to outreach and try to get as many, not just the people involved in all parts of the town and what they would want to do, but also what groups would be interested in using the building.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Great, yeah, thanks for doing
There's the
that.
minutes of that meeting, too. It was
Thank
pretty
you.
good.
Yeah. Looks good.
Yeah.
All right. Other business.
We had those 2 letters. They're both in your packet, one from Chad, explaining that he had never run into the circumstance that the fire department would be eligible for pilot payment or current use. So they haven't pressed it any further, but this is his answer to them, and I forwarded that to them. But I thought you should have a copy. The second letter is from Pauline Blake O'Brien. To you folks to explain her feelings on her town clerk job versus the treasurer's job.
Oh, I can give you mine. Essentially says she's not interested in being assistant treasurer.
Okay,
So,
that's all I care
okay,
about.
yeah, in a nutshell.
She liked it so far?
She said she did, yeah. I mean, talk about baptism by fire, you know, right into the election, and
Yeah.
holy smoke. But I think they did a great job on the election. I heard no.
I was just gonna
complaints.
ask, was there any feedback at all, or?
I heard,
How many people voted?
1,820.
Wow,
and a lot of people came in person too. It
I
was-
know, I was
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
It was an excellent job, if I could say, on
Yeah.
other business. I want to thank Chairwoman Sue, Harlow, Russ, Kelly, Allison, Pauline, Fisher, Mark, Fran, Renault. Everybody did a fantastic job, especially what we were talking about in September
Yeah.
with the lack of ballots.
yeah.
You
worked
guys
that.
just did a terrific job.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
making that so successful, because it really was. Also wanted to say thank you for moving the meeting tonight to recognize all of our fine citizens who are veterans and their family that have served, and very happy, safe, and wonderful Veterans Day to everybody.
Thank you, Kevin. Ditto. Anything else? So I think we can go into executive session. Is that how that is? And we will we have a decision?
No,
No, we won't.
no.
Well, we'll have a decision, but they won't know what it is.
Oh, right, yeah. What? We'll have to get one.
What do you need?
We don't have a
Flag.
flag in here.
There's one there, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.